Baby Steps has single-handedly sold me on anime's sports genre. Not only did the main character connect with me at a very critical point in my life, but the show tapped into my childhood passion for competitive sports as well. The characters and their off-court interactions are entertaining in their own right, and they do a great job at building suspense for each game. But what really intrigued me is the show's competitive philosophy. More specifically, how it portrays the various facets of competition, including development, luck, sportsmanship, and passion. The story introduces A-chan as someone who has never played a day of tennis in his life. As such, he not only serves as an audience surrogate who needs to be fed information about tennis, but he also acts as the perfect vehicle for how Baby Steps addresses its core themes. My only prior experience with this genre came from Yuri on Ice, and I'd be lying if I said that I was invested in that show because of the figure skating. Part of what made Yuri on Ice stand out in my mind was that it centered around a professional nearing the end of his career. Yuri Katsuki already understands the ins and outs of figure skating, which is perfect for the kind of story that it wants to tell. However, I felt somewhat removed from the figure skating competitions due to my lack of ice skating knowledge. This isn't to suggest that the show doesn't provide exposition on the topic, but the narrative doesn't require it to go into as much depth as Baby Steps does with tennis. Because of this, I think the show misses some of the sport's nuances that could have kept me in the loop. This leaves me with next to no idea on how well the characters are performing, and it isn't until the judges give a score that I fully understand how they did. Except that I still don't completely get it. This becomes a big problem in the final few episodes when one of the competitors has a mental breakdown on the ice. Based on his and the other characters' reactions, I assume that he's blown his chance. He botches almost every move, but at the end of the day, he takes third place, and I'm left baffled. It's a relatively small detail compared to the performances of both Yuris, but I find it hard to buy into the tension when I have absolutely no clue who is going to win. Tennis is a much less complicated sport, but Baby Steps ensures that you understand every facet of the game when you need to, even if it becomes a tad redundant at times. This, combined with the show's slow pacing, serves as a strong foundation that allows the show's philosophy to thrive. A-chan loses his first game against Obayashi in episode 6, but we get to see how A-chan's keen eyesight allows him to stay on the defensive for over an hour despite his lack of experience. He isn't a prodigy like Yurio or a skilled veteran like Yuri. He's an untrained newbie, and the narrative doesn't try to fast-track him to the top. His eyesight might be a tremendous component of his potential success, but it alone won't compensate for his flaws. If the show wanted to tell the story of a top dog, Takuma would have been the protagonist, and A-chan would have been his ambitious rival. Instead, the show begins with day 1 of A-chan's journey. The realistic portrayal of his inexperience and the countless mistakes that come with it makes it all the more satisfying when A-chan does start winning matches. We watch him develop his skills and gradually complete the puzzle that is his tennis, so we want to see the fruits of that labor. The most impressive aspect of Baby Steps is how the sport, the protagonist, and the themes naturally connect to craft the show's brilliant narrative. Tennis is a one-on-one sport, so each match carries a dramatic weight similar to that of a fantasy battle series. This also forces A-chan to fight for himself during games. Had this been a team sport like volleyball or even doubles tennis, A-chan could have fallen back on other players to compensate for his inexperience. Doing that would have stunted his growth, however, and A-chan's ability to evolve is crucial to his future in tennis. Because he doesn't start playing until he's in high school, A-chan lacks just about everything he needs to stand on equal footing with his peers. He develops his stamina and technique fairly quickly, but that's only because he slaved away at his craft every single day. School never came easily to him, nor was he immensely interested in it. But A-chan loves tennis. A-chan is saddened by his loss to Obayashi, but only because he wanted to keep playing, to continue having fun. On top of that, his perfectionist mentality and meticulous lifestyle don't just help him improve, they serve as his strongest motivation to do so. Once he joins STC, he dives straight into obsessively practicing. Not because he wants to be a professional, but because that was his natural instinct. This is a kid who had previously centered his life around a strict studying schedule to maintain straight A's. As his passion for tennis grows, that agenda is slowly consumed by tennis practice. As A-chan learns more about tennis and improves his ability, we learn more about his strengths and weaknesses. His matches become less simplistic, and each game is made all the more intense by the escalating stakes. The characters become increasingly invested in the outcome, which only adds to the dramatic tension. Arguably the most intriguing facet of the show doesn't take place on the court though. It's during the fallout of each match that the show's competitive philosophies permeate your soul. They take shape during the match, but it's only after the suspense of each match has subsided that everyone can completely reflect on what just happened and why it happened. Baby Steps also contains an entertaining romance subplot much like Yuri on Ice, but it doesn't flaunt it to the same degree as the latter. Yuri on Ice foregrounds its romance, and the skating plays off of that. Baby Steps pushes tennis to the forefront and lets the romance develop in the background. As such, the main relationship takes time to develop, but not because the narrative drags its feet. Slow pacing is not always bad pacing, and Baby Steps is a prime example of this. With tennis constantly at the front of his mind, it makes sense that Achan wouldn't instantly fall in love and start dating the girl he likes. Not only is the story a clean slate when it begins, so too is Achan. He isn't passionate about anything or anyone, but that gradually changes over the course of the series. As I said in my top 10 characters video, Baby Steps could have used the love interest as a way to drag the protagonist into the sport, or use the sport as a way to bring the protagonist closer to the love interest. What makes this story so powerful, however, is that Achan has no real investment in either at the outset. We experience both facets of his journey from the very beginning, and because they're so interconnected, the emotional payoff of each is strengthened tremendously. To tie everything together in a nice little bow, Baby Steps is full of captivating characters, clever concepts, cute courtship, and compelling confrontations. That is why you should watch Baby Steps. You know what else you should be watching? My videos! This one has only scratched the surface of why I love Baby Steps, but rest assured that I will have more to say about Baby Steps in the near future. A lot more, in fact. I'm talking a multi-part analysis, but that series will delve much deeper into spoiler territory, so I recommend that you watch Baby Steps as soon as humanly possible. If you'd like to take more than a baby step in helping this channel, you can do so by supporting me on Patreon. Special thanks to King Kevin 30, Micah Dunn, and everyone else who has supported me already. And until next time, keep on YouTubing.